think I'm live. Let's see here. Good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had an excellent weekend. We are going to be talking about mindset and motivation. That is the topic for Mondays. And today, what I want to share with you is really a technique that you can apply if you are struggling with staying on track. And you may have seen my poll last week. I asked women, for the women that are struggling with weight loss, what seems to be the problem? Is it that you don't know what to do? Is it that you can't stay on track? Is it that you self-sabotage? Is it that you feel like you've tried everything? And for a lot of you, just staying on track was problematic, was one of the reasons that you're struggling with your weight loss. So that's why I decided to make this the topic for today, and I will be addressing all of the different things that I asked you about. But on Mondays, I really want it to be about mindset and motivation. And the mindset piece today is going to be we'll dive into it, but again, I'm going to be teaching you about a technique, but the mindset shift required today is to take your time, to learn to be more patient with your journey, because I think that will definitely help you to stay on track more easily. So before we dive into this special technique that I'm going to teach you, I would love for you to say hello. So if you are joining me live, just put a live in the comments right now. If you are catching the replay, put a replay in the comments and just tell me where you are joining me from. I always love to know where my ladies are coming from that are listening to me. Okay, so let's kind of dive into this topic. So let's start by just talking about what a typical weight loss attempt looks like, or what typical diets look like. Basically, the best way to describe them is that it's an overnight overhaul, right? So what happens is that we decide, okay, I want to lose weight, so I am going to start on Monday, or start on January 1st, or start on September 1st, or whenever it may be. And typically speaking, we wake up on Monday morning and we just go for it, and we make a bunch of different changes. And so that we're changing a bunch of things at once, right? So maybe we're probably making changes to our nutrition. So maybe you decide, I'm going to do keto, or I'm going to do low carb, or I'm going to do paleo, or I'm going to do Atkins, or Noom, or whatever other ones, programs, vegan, whatever it may be, right? So you make this major change to your nutrition, which in and of itself is very hard. But then typically speaking, there's more than that, right? You decide you're going to start working out, or moving more, or walking, or you're going to start calorie counting, or you're tracking your macros. Maybe you're getting up earlier or going to bed earlier. Maybe you're meal planning, and maybe you're meal prepping. But you're basically adding in all of these different changes all at once. And yes, that works, right? It can work, especially if you have a very structured program that you're following, like something like what I'm offering, right? Where you have you have a structured program, and it tells you exactly what to do. You've got recipes or whatever, someone to keep you accountable. But even then, it's really hard to maintain, especially if it's overly complex, right? And what happens is that, this is what I see all the time, is that when women get either busy, or they get stressed out, or they're tired, what do? We start to rely on our automatic behaviors. We go back to what feels easy, because making all of those changes all at once, it's really, 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 really hard. And so we're always going to go back to what feels easy, automatic, right? And those are those automatic behaviors. So the key, and this is the technique here, so the key to permanent weight loss, the key to staying on track, is to develop new automatic behaviors. Because because we have all these automatic behaviors that are just ingrained in our mind. And changing those automatic behaviors requires extremely focused attention. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but there's like this concept of neuroplasticity, which is like, you can think of it as like in your brain, there are just certain habits or certain behaviors that for your brain, it's like the easiest thing to do. And so you can think of those as like major highways, right? What you're trying to do is you're chopping through the forest, creating a new highway. And so if you can think of it in that analogy, like that's a lot of work, right? Like you're trying to create new behavior patterns. So you're chopping down trees and you're trying to create a new road. And so the moment that you get tired, your brain is going to be like, let's just take the highway. It's so much easier. And that is why so many women get off track, is because again, changing these automatic behaviors that you do without even thinking about them is really, really, really hard. So within this context, if you think of it this way, you can see why changing multiple things at the same time makes it even harder, because now you're chopping down wood and you're trying to create all of these different roads of behavior change. And when you're trying to change everything all at once, no wonder you get overwhelmed, right? So the technique that I suggest, or that I recommend for the women that are out there that are like, okay, this is me, like this is what I struggle with, is instead of trying to overhaul everything all at once, you pick one strategic change. One strategic change. Pick something that you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And you work on that specific change until it becomes effortless, until you don't have to think about it anymore, until it is like just an automatic behavior, until that's become the new highway in your brain that your body just does without you having to think. So I want you to think of like certain automatic behaviors that you do right now, like brushing your teeth at night and in the morning. You do not have to focus your attention on reminding yourself to go and brush your teeth. Like your body just does it. It's just like you go through your morning routine, right? And you do everything probably in a certain pattern. And then at some point you just go to the bathroom and you do it. You don't have to think about it. And so that's the kind of automatic behavior that we want to create with our nutrition and our lifestyle. We want it to just become part of our normal routine that we don't think about. And I'll give you an example, because this is what I'm trained in. It's habit-based coaching. It's called the One Habit Method. And this is what Precision Nutrition is famous for, is really about focusing on one habit until it becomes effortless, and then habit stacking, adding the next habit and then the next habit and then the next habit. So for instance, like for me, one example that I talk about a lot is protein. Okay, so, and the habit is protein, like dense protein with every meal, right? So imagine if you did that, if you focused all of your attention on just that one habit for one entire month until it becomes effortless and automatic. And it will take time, because you have to come up with systems and strategies, and you've got to, like, again, build that new highway in your brain, because when you're tired or you're busy or you're stressed out, your brain is going to be like, you know what, it's so much easier to just take 2 pieces of toast and stick it in the toaster in the morning. And so you have to take that whole month to really turn that one habit into, you've got to develop the strategies and the systems so that it does feel automatic and it's just what you do. Okay? So where would you even begin? So what I want to do is I just want to give you some fundamentals, some fundamental habits that you can work on. So again, this is like, instead of overhauling everything overnight, you would pick one focus, and that is what you would focus on for maybe 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, however long it takes for it to feel effortless. So going back to the example of protein, I have protein with every single one of my meals, but I don't think about it anymore. It's just what my brain does. It's like, what am I having for breakfast? The first thing I always decide is what's going to be my protein. But now that is like, it's automatic. I don't have to think about it. It just happens. And the same is true as different habits. So daily movement, right? Like it's just like, well, when am I going to get my daily movement in? It's just like it's part of the routine. Again, if you can do it always at the same time, for example, it just becomes automatic. It's like, okay, when I get back from dropping my child off at daycare, I go for a walk or whatever it may be. I still have a child in daycare. Then the next one, protein, which I talked about, protein with every meals. Vegetables, 6 to 8 servings of vegetables every single day, which I know you have to eat vegetables, but I guarantee that most women in this group are not getting 6 to 8 servings every day. Even for me, that is still something that I have to put focused attention on. It's an easy slip. And so even these habits, it's like you might have to work on these for a number of years because again, like it's for me, that one's an easy slip. It's easy to slip out of the habit of getting my 6 to 8 servings daily. Making sure that you're eating whole food carbs, which I call smart carbs. So they are whole foods, they are high in fiber, they digest slowly. That's another great focus. Another great focus would be eating slowly and eating to satisfy, right? So that you can naturally control your portion sizes without having to count calories or track macros. Stress management. I mean, you guys know that stress management is important. So just making that the focus for an entire month. This is one that I have to like revisit time and time again, because when I'm stressed out and I'm busy and I'm tired, the first thing I let go of is stress management. Guilty. And then sleep. Sleep is another one. Those are just some fundamentals. But instead of like trying to overhaul everything overnight and doing that for a month and then just giving up because it's too hard, going back to your old ways and then doing it again and going through this cycle of overhaul, back to your old behaviors, overall, go back to your old behaviors. Try something different. Try a different approach. Because doing the same thing over and over again, as you know, is the definition of insanity, right? But we as women do the same thing over and over when we try to go on these diets. So maybe think of it in a different way. But mindset-wise, and this is the only downfall of the one habit method, is that it requires patience. Because the overnight overhauls will give you the faster results. But they're going to be a lot harder to maintain and sustain because it's going to be a lot harder to stay on track long term. This type of, or this technique, it's a lot easier to create permanent change, but from a mindset perspective, it really requires patience. Because now you're looking at like a 12-month project as opposed to like something that you're going to do until you hit the beach on July 1st. Right? Very different mindset, very different perspective. And just one final thing. So Precision Nutrition, when I used to work for them and I was one of their assistant coaches, their weight loss program is a 12-month commitment. 12 months. That's how long that I would work with clients, for 12 months. So I want you to put that into perspective. I really want you to think about that and think about, just where you're at like right now. Like if you are struggling, are you being too impatient? Are you trying to change too much at once? And do you think that potentially this very different approach might be something that you need to do? So I would love to hear from you. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Bridget. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Grammy M. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to know, what do you think about this idea of the one habit method of doing one thing, focusing your attention on one small thing until that becomes effortless and then adding it on? Do you have the patience for that? Have you been dieting your whole life and now you're just like, oh my God, that sounds impossible, Haley? I want to hear from you. Put it in the comments. That is our first. I'm going to be doing mindset every single Monday moving forward because it is really one of the key elements to sustainable weight loss. I hope you enjoyed that. I will see you soon. Have a great day. Bye, ladies.